Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to see how to download files using Selenium WebDriver. Let me show you an example. I am using Chrome browser here, and downloading the files actually depends on the browser, like the settings, and the way we download all depends on the browser which we are using, right? So let me show you an example in Chrome. I navigate to some URL and you see here a PDF file. So I want to download this PDF file. So what do? I just click on this download button. Then it starts downloading. So you can see it here, right? So it gets downloaded into some location. Let's see that location. So you can see it actually downloaded in some location, right? So how does this happen? If you go to settings, right, and just type downloads here, you see download location, right? So this was the default location in my Chrome settings, right? So this is the reason it got downloaded into that location. And we can even change this location as well, right? So you can click on change and you can keep whatever the location you want, so that becomes the default directory for the downloads, right? So now let us see first how to actually download in the default path. Like we are not going to change this path, right? So first let's see clicking this button download and whether it is getting downloaded into the default location or not using Selenium WebDriver, right? So you see, I already created a class here, file download in Chrome. I have main method. I have set the property to the WebDriver Chrome driver and set it to the Chrome executable and created the WebDriver instance, instantiated it to the Chrome driver so that a Chrome browser window gets opened and it gets maximized, right? Now let us do one thing, right? Let's actually navigate to the URL which we saw in this example, and then we are going to click on this download button, right? So let's inspect this download button. Let's take XPath of it and then driver.find element by.xpath dot click. All right, we can click and download the file, but how do you know whether the file got downloaded successfully or not? So I'm going to write a small logic here, right? So if it is downloaded correctly or if the file exists or not. So the logic here is, you see downloads here, right? So it's already downloaded. We did this manually. Now we wanted to automatically download this file, right? So you don't see any file here, right? So that's what we're going to check now. What we're going to do is, I'll just verify if the file exists before download. Before download, it is not there. You can see it, right? Before download, file exists. I have a user defined method here. I'm going to show you that now. This file exists and I'm going to pass the file path here, the default file path. So let's define this variable. So I'm going to make a private static variable string file path and assign the default location. So what's the default location? This was the default location, right? Downloads. All right. So this is the default location. We have it, and we are going to use this file path. Is file exists file path plus. I also wanted to have the file name. So what's the file name? File name was this one, sample3.pdf, right? So let's also have another string object created for file name. So file name was sample3.pdf, and we are going to use that here. File path including the file name, right? So becomes the complete file path of that file, right? Is file exists. So I already created the method. You can see here. So we are passing file path to this method, and you see I created an object for of file, passing the file path to it and verifying if the file exists. Exists is a method which returns true if the file exists at the specified location, or it returns actually false if it doesn't exist, right? So simple method that we are going to print it here, right? So before download, is file exists is what we are checking. All right, now what we'll do is, so this has to come down. Before downloading itself, we wanted to verify if the file exists. So this has to be false, and click. After clicking, it takes some time, right, to download. So let's have some sleep time. I'll have a sleep time of maybe some 5 seconds. And once it is done, again, we are going to check if the file exists, right? Let's copy this, and then we just say after download file exists, right? So after file, it has to exist. This has to print true. So this is our expectation. Now let me run this program and verify. Yeah, you can see it navigated, and you see the file got downloaded here. It's taking some time. Fine. Now let's see the output. So you can see before download file exists, false. It was not there. After download file exists in this location, which you specified, yes, true, because it got downloaded to the default location successfully. See, it actually got downloaded here, right? So that's the reason it says it exists, right? Fine. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually download in some specified location, meaning I wanted to change the default download location. So how we do it manually? We actually navigate to the settings of the Chrome browser, click on this change, and you can specify any browser any folder you want, right? Here, like this, Chrome downloads, like this, right? But I wanted to do this using Selenium, right? So how do we do that? That I am going to show you now. So for that, we need to have some settings, right, on the Chrome browser. So what we are going to do first is we'll create an hash map. I'm going to explain you why we need this hash map as well. So first create an hash map object, and then hash map dot put, we are going to put some values here. So what's the value key here is download dot default directory is the key. Default directory is the key. This key has to be same. The value of this key has to be exactly the same, download default underscore directory. And we can specify any path here, any desired location, not the default location, but the desired location, right? So let's have that defined here. So it can be C Chrome downloads. So we wanted to change the default directory to this one, Chrome downloads, right? And decide download location, download file path, right? We are changing the default download directory to this directory, Chrome downloads, right? And just provide this file path here. So this is my desired download file path. So just we are changing the default directory and giving our customized download directory, right? So this is how we need to do that, right? This is hash map, and then we just had some key value pair into the hash map. All right. Now what we'll do is, how do we actually put this or map this hash map to the Chrome browser? So for that, we have something called Chrome Options. So Chrome Options is a class which we are going to use to actually set this hash map into it, right? Chrome Options. And then we use this Chrome Options object dot, we have a method called set experimental option. And here we need to specify, right? So preferences, it denotes preferences. So this also, the word should be exactly the same, prefs, and the options which we have set it, right? So the Chrome options, right? Now actually you need to pass the hash map here, right? So we already have the options object here, options dot set experimental option is a method, and preferences is the key, and value we are passing hash map. Hash map we already defined it here, right? So now we have the Chrome options. These options we are going to set it into the Chrome driver, right? So we instantiated Chrome driver here, right? So this we are going to pass it here. So that what happens when the Chrome browser instantiated, so Chrome browser is open, before it open, so it actually will have these settings. So we define the hash map to actually define the default directory, to change the default download directory, right? And then we actually pass this hash map to the preferences of the Chrome options object. And finally, we use this options, Chrome options object. We finally pass this to the Chrome driver class, right? So this is what we did. Now the expectation is to download the file, but put it into this directory, desired download file path, right? And we just need to modify this as well. We wanted to verify, right, if the file exists at this location. So I'm just modifying that as well. So you can see here, Chrome downloads, we don't have any file for your information. Now let us execute and verify. Yeah, it downloads the file. Now let's see. Yeah, we have the file here, right? So we don't have it in the downloads. It was there, but this was before we downloaded before, right? So it actually downloaded here. So you can see before it was not there. After download, it's present in this Chrome downloads location. So this is how we can actually modify the settings for the Chrome browser for this session. So remember this is important. So these settings are only applicable for only this session, which the WebDriver, opens it, right? So, and once the session is killed, right? So the settings are not there. So it's not actually applicable to the actual browser. So it's only applicable per session. So this is how we can actually modify the download location in Chrome. So as we already said, it is different for different browsers. So let's see what are the settings for Firefox. So for that, what I'll do is I'll just take a copy of this. I'll just modify this to Firefox. Before this, let's actually see how it is done manually, right? So you see here, let's actually delete this. And let's first see how we do this manually. So just click on this download button. You see it just opens the file, right? Instead of downloading. So this is because there is a setting here in Firefox. So just go to the settings and in the search box, which says find in settings, just type content. You see the content type, right? So each content type and the corresponding action here. You see the PDF file here, right? So PDF file, what happens here is, so the action is open in Firefox. So when I click on any PDF, it just opens in Firefox. So this came with the new version of Firefox. So what we need to do is action. I don't want it to open in Firefox. You can modify this to save file, right? You can just say save file. Now, if you go back and try again, so this time it has to download the file. So you can see it is trying to download the file, right? Let me delete this. So it is downloading now. So the default setting was to open the PDF. I just modified that to save to disk, right? Now, let's actually try to download this file in Firefox. We already have the class, duplicated here. So we just need this Gecko driver executable set, right? So let's do that. We don't need all this Chrome specific ones. I'm just deleting that. And got the Gecko drivers one. So Gecko driver and instantiated to the Gecko driver executable, right? I have a WebDriver instance instantiated to the Firefox driver and maximizing the window. And the rest of the code remains same, right? So we just download the file and before downloading, we just verify it. It should not be there. And after download, it has to be present, right? So the remaining code remains same. Only thing here is, okay, we first see to actually download at the default location, right? Default download location. Default download location in Chrome also will be the same, right? As in Firefox is also same as in Chrome, right? So you can see it is the same, this location. So to verify that, what we'll do is let's actually run the program as is and verify. So I'm just modifying this file path if you observe. So this file path was the default one. We are not using desired download file path. We'll see that later. First, we'll see how to download the file in the default download folder, right? So we just modified the code from Chrome to Firefox. That's it. And verifying. So it still opens the file, right? So this is because we applied the changes, but it's applicable only to that settings which we made to the browser. So this is a new session. So that's the reason it is not applicable here. And you see here after download also file doesn't exist because it is not downloaded. So now we need to have the settings here specific to the Firefox browser. So Firefox profile. There's a class called Firefox profile. So we need to create an instance of Firefox profile first. And then set preference. Set preference takes two arguments, key and value. Value is of object type. So you can have any object there. So set preference. So in earlier versions, so this is whatever I'm setting now as the preference. So this is applicable for the older versions of Firefox. So what happens is even though you ask it to save to disk, so it actually pops up and asks you to where to save the file, right? So we are saying never ask save to disk. Otherwise, we'll be getting a pop-up to save the file to a what do you want it to do? So you get a pop-up. You wanted to open the file or you wanted to download to a specific location, that pop-up comes. And we know that Selenium can't handle the pop-ups, right? We can do that using AutoIT and other third-party tools, but here we can skip that step. So that's the reason I am showing you this. Anyway, for the current versions or the latest versions, this setting is not required. So this is required only if you are using older versions of Firefox. Remember that. Browser.helperapps. Never ask that save to disk. And here you specify the file type. So our file type is, PDF, right? So PDF is the one which we wanted to download. So we need to specify that value here. And how do you know this exact value? So it is PDF, fine, but how do I know this value, right? So for that, what you can do is you can actually navigate to a website called sitepoint.com. You can see the URL here, right? So this one, and search for whatever file you wanted to download. See, you can see the file, right? So if you are going to download the PDF file, so this is the value you need to set it. So these are called the MIME types, right? So if at all you wanted to download some doc file, right? So then that will be different. So according to your extension of your file, so the value of the MIME changes. So I'm going to download PDF now. So this is the reason I'm setting this value, right? So this is done. Now another setting we need to do. So as it is PDF file, right? So in PDF, to download PDF, right, in Firefox, we need to disable the JavaScript for it. So disable PDF JS represents JavaScript. Disabled. Yes, I wanted to disable this. So we mention a Boolean value true. So we are disabling JavaScript when downloading PDF. Otherwise, it will actually pop up and it will actually stop the download, right? So these are the preferences we need to set for Firefox profile. So once we have this, then like how we created the Chrome options, we are going to create a Firefox options as well. So Firefox options. So we are going to create an object of Firefox options class. And then we use this object options dot, we use a method called set profile and set the profile which we created just now, right? This profile, we are going to pass it to the options. And finally, we should pass these options to the Firefox driver, so that these options or these preferences will be set to this instance of Firefox, right? All right. Now let us execute and verify. It has to download to the default location, this file path. It's not there here. Yes, you can see it here. It got downloaded to the default folder, right, of the browser, right? All right. So we automated that, fine. Now, how about like again changing the default download directory in Firefox? Again, what we need to do is set preference. So we always use the profile set preference method here. So how do we change it? So let me show you. Browser dot download dot folder list, and the values we need to pass here are different. So different for different values. So this will be either 0, 1 or 2. So I'm going to show you 0. If it is 0, it's going to download at your desktop, right? If it is 1, it will download in your downloads location. So the default downloads location will be there, right? So till now we have seen that this is the default location, right? So it will download here. 2 will be desired location. So if you provide 2, then you need to specify another preference here. Profile dot set preference. Okay, here let me actually put it 2 here. So as we wanted to download to a desired location. So preference. What will be our value here is browser dot. So this we need to set if value is 2 here. If you specify 0, you don't need this value to set. It knows it has to download to desktop. If it is 1, it will directly download to the downloads location. If it is 2, meaning it's a customized location or desired location. Only then we need to have this next line, that is set the preference to browser dot download dot directory and specify the directory, right? So I'm going to specify this C Firefox downloads. Just specify C Firefox downloads, right? It has to download here. That's it. So only these 2 lines to download the file to the desired location, right? Just modify this to Firefox downloads. This is the desired location. And to verify the files, we just modify these 2 lines. This file exists at this desired file path before download and after download. This is what we wanted to verify. Now let me execute the program. And you can see here Firefox downloads, we don't have the file, so it has to download to this folder. So that's what we have written the code for, right? So let's see that now. Yes, it downloaded the file, right? So you can see it just takes some time, as we said to wait for 5 seconds, right? Yeah, it actually completed. Before download file exists false. Oh, after download file exists, it has to be true. So this is because it was very quick, I guess. So maybe it took more than 5 seconds to download. So it didn't know that the file actually exists. So what we'll do is desired location, Firefox downloads. Okay, this has to be // right? Only then it actually identifies the correct path, as we are concatenating file name with the path, right? So that was the mistake. That's fine. Let's delete this file and run the program again. So it has to download to this location. Yes, it downloaded the file. Now we can see after download file exists true, right? Before download file exists false. So we have seen that now it actually downloaded to the desired location. So this is how we can actually modify the settings for the Firefox to download the file to our desired location. And as I specified earlier, so we need to have this profile or the options preferences set per browser. So each browser has its own settings, and this we need to know what settings has to be done for which browser, right? So in this video, we learn how to download a file in Chrome and Firefox using Selenium WebDriver. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.